Okay, thank you everybody for coming to our second student panel this year. This one is why I completed your class or program or certificate or degree. Right, and this is in keeping in line with our Completion Takes a Community theme that we've established for this year. So as you remember back in fall, we had quite a lot of students drop in the first 2 weeks, and that inspired our institutional effectiveness team to carry out a qualitative study about why those students are dropping. And also we had a Why Did I Drop Your Class student panel where it was a similar setup. We had students come and talk about their experiences in and out of the classroom, and we discussed strategies that we could implement campus-wide to help support their success. And so, back by popular demand, we have this student panel. The Senate decided that this is a wonderful thing to hear from students, and I wholeheartedly agree. So welcome and thanks for coming. So we're going to have our students introduce themselves. Each one of them are going to tell you their name, their major, field of study, maybe a little bit about how long they've been at PCC and why they've decided to attend PCC. So we'll start at the end with Alana.
Hi. I can't tell if I'm... Hi. I'm Alana. I'm taking a business management certificate with, I guess, an Associates of Science degree with a business management certificate. This will be my I'll be completing my second year at PCC and graduating at the end of the semester, hopefully. Hopefully. I am actually an international student from Canada. And I chose PCC because it actually was one of the only schools that had a person call me back when I was looking into different schools to go to out here. So,
thank you. Yeah. Paola?
So my name is Paola Nieto. This is my second year here at PCC, and I'm currently studying computer engineering. The reason I chose PCC was because I knew I wanted to go to college, but I wasn't ready to jump into the four-year university scene. So I decided to go here, actually know that I want to do computer engineering, and then transfer to a four-year.
Thank you. Bryan?
Yeah. My name is Bryan Martinez. This is my second year here at PCC. I'm a biology major. As you can tell, I'm a English as a second language student too. The reason I chose to come to PCC is because I'm an AB 540 student too. Some of you might know what it means, and if you don't, you can ask someone over there. So yeah, I chose to come here to PCC because even if you're an AB 540 student, you can still do it and you can still be successful and complete college. And my goal is to transfer to a four-year university, especially UCLA or Berkeley. And yeah, hopefully I'll do it.
Thank you, Bryan. William?
Hi everyone, my name is, oh wow, that's loud. Hi everyone, my name is William Yagikian. I'm a finance major. This is my fifth semester at PCC. Fortunately and unfortunately, it's also my last semester at PCC as I'm transferring out. If there's any Cal alumni in here, I will be going to Cal, so yeah. The reason I chose PCC is when I was coming back to school, there were a number of community colleges out there, and it was Santa Monica College, et cetera. There's just comparison between them. And looking at PCC's student body when I came here on campus, I saw there was a lot more diversity here. And I have to give it to the administration and the faculty over here. They're really responsive in terms of helping me get set up and the counselors. So coming through and doing that venture with PCC solidified my decision to come here and do my 2 years here before I chose to transfer.
Thank you. Yeah, so we chose the students as a result of reaching out to campus community members, people who oversaw students or had close contact with students. It's hard just to do an email blast and get students to feel comfortable enough to respond to a stranger. So although we do have STEMmy kind of majors here, I think the panel represents a diverse group of our student points of view. So I hope that everyone in the audience will find something helpful to take away from today. Can you two move the mic just a little closer to you? And so I just want you to keep in mind that when you're interacting with the students later through the question and answer session, that you just mind your language. I'm not worried about any of you, but just remember to be sensitive to the fact that this is an environment where students are sharing their raw emotions and feelings about experiences that they've had in the classroom, and just be mindful to be as encouraging and supportive as you can to them. Thanks. So for our first prompt, I'd like the students to talk about where they found community at PCC and how it has supported your ability to complete. If your example is not from the classroom, talk about what professors might do to replicate your experience for future students. And we could go from left to right, or if you guys, which would you prefer? Alana, you want to start?
Sure.
Okay.
So my example is actually not an instructor, it's the Pathways program. At school, as an international student, I was told, I guess, not really knowing, that I was going to be part of iJam in the summer that I came here, which has now just been changed to JAM.
Does everyone know what iJam is? Anyone not know? Okay, sorry.
So being a part of that, and also being a part of just the Pathways program in general, allowed me to feel comfortable on campus. Spending a week here before school actually started not being from here, not knowing the area at all, it allowed me to understand and find out where all of the resources were on campus. I also kind of had a starting point. If I had any questions about anything on campus, I knew that I could go to the Pathways office and they'd kind of steer me in the right direction. And it also allowed me to get my first job here because I can only work on campus. So being part of the Pathways program, I was able to become a JAM leader over the summer and in the winter as well. And it allowed me to meet a lot more people and faculty on campus.
Thank you. Paola?
So I found my support actually in my first math class here at PCC. My professor, she was very supportive. She was always willing to see me outside of her office hours. And because of that, I also found my community in the Math Success Center. And it was just a really nice experience to know that there were other students willing to help me out, but there are also professors there willing to help me out. So I feel like my situation is very lucky because I had professors inside my class, but professors also outside of class willing to help me even if I wasn't in their class.
Do you want to talk about sort of how that community made you feel in terms of approaching challenging situations in your course?
So that community, it made me feel really safe, and I didn't feel any judgment on their part. And I knew if I made a mistake, I was able to bounce back, but I also had someone willing to help me fix that mistake and not just be like, oh, you messed up, like, get out of here. It was it's just a very wonderful situation to find a community, especially in the Math Center, where once again, professors were there, students were there, and it was just very non-judgmental and a very good connection in there.
Thank you. Brian?
Yes. So, as a student coming from an adult school, it was really hard for me because I wasn't quite related to what it was to be in an institution here studying in the US. How was everything? So the way I found a sense of community when I came and I started coming to PCC was with the club. I belong to a club named United Without Boundaries, UWB. It's a club for undocumented international students and AB 540 students. So it's sort of allies and undocumented people. So I find a sense of belonging there because I'm one of those students too. I'm an undocumented student too. So, and I felt like, okay, I'm not alone. There's more people like I am here. So that's how I find a sense of community. Also, I find a sense of community with some of my professors, that they're really like inclusive and they're not judgmental. They really know how to listen to you and they give you advice. So, and I think that's one of the best things of professors to do, because we don't know when a student is new, we don't know the background of the student, and kind of helping the students and giving advice is really, really helpful because we feel better and we feel like, okay, we belong here. We don't feel like strangers and we don't feel like, okay, that's okay. Yeah.
Thank you. So the instructor in the classroom seeing you for who you are and articulating how important you are to them and to the college is what you think is valuable.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you. William?
Sure. So mine was kind of like a natural evolution of how it happened. It happened in class, and it was one of my math classes where it was the first one where a number of students, we actually were like really like-minded individuals, and we were pushing ourselves academically, and we just naturally clicked with one another. In this class, there was like about 12 of us, and through that, we started studying with one another, but we needed some place to study, and two of the students recommended the Math Success Center, so it's kind of similar to Paola's. And we started studying over there, and one of the things I noticed quickly is that there's a number of students, I didn't even know this resource was available. I had never heard about the Math Success Center prior to taking that math course. But one of the things I quickly noticed is the faculty or the staff that runs the MSc were extremely helpful with our educational goals, and I mean helping us do the math problems that we were working on. But what it also gave us was there were professors that were available, even if my professor wasn't available during her office hours, and she even went out of her way to come before exams to the Math Success Center because the majority of her class was over there and would help us before exams if we had any questions or anything like that. But I think the main thing about the MSc that really shines or has shined for me as a community is it gives students an opportunity to collaborate with one another and bounce ideas off of each other. So it gives us an avenue to kind of like, for myself, I really push myself, but it's one thing to see different perspectives from different type of students and then a different way of thinking, which enhances my own thinking. So I think for me specifically, the MSc is probably the strongest community that I've been part of here at PCC.
Thank you. All right, the next question. What behaviors and language used by professors and staff have motivated you to persist semester after semester? Please discuss how these behaviors and language made you feel at the time. Lana?
Just being, I guess, positive in general is very helpful. My first semester here, one of my English professor, they were extremely positive and extremely encouraging with my work, with the rest of the students' work. I remember like the first day of class, because I'd been out of school for over 10 years, and English was never my strength in school to begin with. So basically the first day of class, after class, I kind of went up to them and said, I know that I'm going to need help in this class, so where can I go to find some tutoring or some resources that are going to help me pass this class. And their response was, I mean, it might sound bad saying it now, but they basically said that to not worry about it yet and kind of to do the first assignment and see where I'm at, and then take a look again to see where tutoring or anything like that would be beneficial. And I turned in my first assignment, it came back, and I got an A. And their response was kind of like, see, like you're a lot better than you actually give yourself credit for. It's a process, and not to be so hard and judgmental on yourself, that you're actually doing a lot better than you think you are. So that actually was like, kind of, it was really encouraging to hear that and to get that feedback from someone who, from my professor, and especially in a class that I didn't feel was one of my strengths. So it kind of gave me that encouragement to do better, and actually made me want to go to the class.
Thank you. Paola?
One of my most memorable class years at PCC was one of my professors would always greet us with a smile in the morning, and I think that's really important because I know for professors and for myself too, I can notice when students don't want to be in the class, when they're just going because they have to go, because they need the credit for the class. But on our side too, we can also tell when a professor wants to be there versus when a professor doesn't want to be there. When a professor is kind of also in our situation, might be going through things and just doesn't feel like doing it that day. And so just always being greeted with a smile by the professor and a hello, good morning, good afternoon was really helpful, because walking in, I was like, yes, my professor is here. And I'm like, oh, this class again. And so that, just being greeted with a smile, the professor just having that openness, but actually being genuine with how open they are was really, really helpful.
Brian?
Yeah. A combination of Alana and Paola said, English is not my strongest subject, and I kind of always feel like self-conscious about it. But I can say that I'm really proud of faculty and staff here at PCC, because like everyone seems very accepting and not judgmental when it comes to English, because we know that PCC is a very diverse community. For my classes, when I really started coming to PCC, I was kind of transferring from adult school to here. And I felt like it was really hard. It was a really high level for me. But as I started doing the essays, all the investigation and everything, so I was telling my professors, I know it's not gonna be perfect. I might have like so many mistakes, but I'm trying. That's my goal, to learn, to be better every day. And I have been, I don't know if I'm being lucky or hi, or they're very accepting, but I have got a lot of help. And I like when I get a lot of feedback, because it makes me be better like every day. And that's the thing, I have professors that they have given me the feedback that I needed, compared to other professors that they just like rate the test or rate an essay and they just give it back to you, which is not really helpful. I'd rather get like a lot of like writings on my papers and I see my mistakes. But going back to what it was, the behaviors and things that I have noticed from professors, like as Paola mentioned, like going to your classroom and see your professor with a big smile and excited to teach you and to share the knowledge that they have. That's really like, it motivates you to keep going and to come to school like every day. And that's how I felt coming to PCC and to keep going and finish my classes.
Thank you. Billy?
So one of my professors in my math course, I think he's probably the most passionate person I've seen about mathematics. And when he would come into class every single day, that would resonate within the classroom, and you can really feel it off. It's similar to what Paula said. You can really feel it from the students. Like, if the educator, or at least the authoritative figure in the classroom, is reciprocating that type of passion that's emanating from him, it completely rubs off on the students as well. It makes them more excited. And I'm only saying that because, I mean, students talk to one another, and professors either develop a really good rep or they develop a really bad rep, and we're aware of which professors to take because we know how they run their classroom, and we know which professors not to take because we know how they run their classroom. And I've had classrooms where the professor didn't have control over the classroom. And it's not saying that you should be like completely like don't do this and leave the classroom type thing, but it becomes chaos and it's destructive to other students that are really there, that are genuinely trying to learn. And I think one of the other things is, I don't think the professor necessarily needs to like incorporate themselves in the student's life, but one of my professors did something really interesting where he kind of incentivized us to do, for extra credit, he had us make these postcards with our pictures on it and kind of give a little bit of background about us. And he went out of his way to, I know he had like 4 or 5 classes, which is like 160 students, 150 students, but he really went out of his way to kind of learn everyone's major and everything. And not just him, but another professor too, they really, would bring in like industry examples in terms of what they were doing in mathematics. Like, how does this relate to finance? How does this relate to engineering? Oh, this is the application of this. And then that really took off because there's a lot of STEM majors in the upper division math courses, such as calc, et cetera. And even in the lower division, it could be something that could potentially interest someone that maybe they didn't think they were interested in it. So it's not necessarily put yourselves into their lives, but it's like kind of give them real world examples, because I know a lot of professors here had first careers before they became professors. So that's also really beneficial. And I think that was something that really intrigued me as well, especially when we were talking about finance and economics and how all this applies to that. So yeah, for me, that's that.
Yeah, so the application and the career, right? Someone else had said that too. Did someone else have a specific example about career? That their teacher integrated career in a way? Was that you?
I know when we talked about that. My anthropology class, they integrated like
Application.
like the DNA research and like 23andMe and all of those kind of things that you can do now, and having that apply in the classroom as well.
Right, and it made it interesting to you.
Yeah.
Whereas if they just taught you genetics, right, you said you'd be like snoring.
Yeah,
right?
I don't want.
Right. Okay. All right. So we got a bit of time for question and answers. So think about if you can ask the students questions to clarify anything you've heard or to dig a little deeper. But also you might want to think about the range of students that we get and think about strategies that that you've been thinking about applying or strategies that other instructors have applied, and maybe bounce those ideas off these students to see how they might react to those things. Just try to give us an indication of new things that we could try to help support our students, right? So if you do have questions, Sheila and I will be, Donahue, squared, running around the room, taking those. So any questions?
Don't be shy.
Yeah.
You ask us to ask questions.
So some of our students have gone through, Paula, do you want to just tell them the math levels that you've been through? It's pretty amazing.
So I first started here I can say the course, right? Okay. In Math 131, and now I'm in Math 10.
For those that don't know the math sequence, how many math sections is that?
So that goes 131, 7A, 7B, 5A, 5B, 5C, and Math 10. So in total, I've taken 7 math classes while here at PCC. So feel
Wow.
free to ask questions.
It's incredible. Yeah. So, and I think Alana and Bryan both, although they didn't articulate having gone through that many, I think personally, in terms of being from different demographics of students, have faced sort of similar challenges in different ways that they've persisted through as well. So I forgot to mention that at the beginning.
I'd just like to ask, how might we make the Math Success Center even better?
Oh, that's a very good
Do you have
question.
any ideas on that to help us?
I personally don't really know anything about the Math Success Center, so maybe like more campus awareness would help. Like maybe, I mean, I know where it is, but I don't know when it's open or what you, I guess, need to be able to go and use it if you need to be enrolled in a specific math class or things like that.
I think there's a lot available at the MSC, especially with the professors around, such as yourself, Professor Gallup. I always see you there. So now I see you walking around helping the students. I know a lot of the professors have office hours over there, and I've seen other professors also walk around and help the students. Not necessarily sit down and wait for a student to come to them, but they're actively moving around, kind of similar to how the tutors do it as well that are over there, such as ourselves, when we're going around and helping the students. And I think the students that come to the MSC quickly realize how beneficial it is, and we have rooms that are available to them that they can sit there and study with their classmates, or their professors will come in at the office hours and take care. But I think if maybe something along the lines of I know some professors hold their office hours at their office, but if they could also do it at the MSC too, maybe 1 day out of the week or 2 hours out of the week or something, that would be extremely beneficial, because the majority of their students are usually at the MSC, and it makes I would imagine it would make the professor's life easier too if they could come to the MSC where most of their students are. That way they can get at least get any questions across and answer it for them.
Yeah, I completely agree. That would be very beneficial. Because I know before I started working at the Math Success Center as a tutor, my professor, she would go there during her office hours, as you mentioned, and outside of her office hours. And when I first began going to the Math Success Center, after hours, on certain days, they would have hours, maybe 1 or 2 hours dedicated to specifically a certain math class. For example, I would go to the 131, but there'll also be some days for calculus, and that was really beneficial. And I don't believe we don't have that anymore, but if we were able to bring that back, I feel like that would be really beneficial, just to have a section cut off for students in a certain math class.
I think one more thing I can add to that is a lot of the students are dispersed throughout the MSC. One of the things I think we can try to do is kind of I don't want to necessarily say segregate, but you can kind of get an idea of where like the 7A students, 7B students are, so they can work together and bounce their ideas off of each other. Because when I was at the MSc, we had to like walk around and figure out who it was, or sometimes just nonchalantly one of the students would come up to us and would talk us, oh, hey, are you in Calc? Yeah, I am too. What professor do you have? Oh, this is how we're doing this type of thing. But I feel like it'd be easier for the students to connect if, I don't want to like say we should put up like signs or stuff like that. Well, all the 5A, like the Calc students over here or something. But at least if if the students had an idea where most of the students are, then it gives them an opportunity to at least talk to other students and then get feedback from professors as well that aren't necessarily for that class, but there to help in general for that specific course.
Why you enjoy being at PCC and why you enjoy being PCC students, and also to be strong advocates for what you believe in. And I also want to thank the faculty and staff of PCC for having prepared you so well, to be so articulate, and to do the job that you're doing so well. We all believe in one thing. We want our students to be successful, because you not only represent the present, but you also represent the future. We will all need people like you to lead us so that we can succeed as a nation. My question to you is, what is it that stands out at PCC that makes students want to come here and wants to study at PCC?
For that one, I'd like to start. I think one of the most prominent things about choosing PCC, it's the diversity of the community. It's not only one group, but it's really diverse. A lot of international students from different backgrounds. Also, the quality of education, which is like really great. It's one of the best community college here in California. And that's the reason I chose, I don't want to mention the other college, but that's one of the reasons I chose this one over the other one, because it has like, not reviews, but a lot of people that have like really good comments about it. The level of transfer and accepting to another universities or to a four-year university is really high. And that's one of the things. And I really want to get like well prepared. I don't want to, as I have mentioned, I'd rather get a C in a class rather than get an A and not learning anything. So that's why I chose coming to PCC, because I know if one day I will, when I transfer to a four-year university, I will be well prepared and not be like a regular student.
I think one of the other things too is, I think I mentioned it earlier, is the administration and the faculty here that work at the offices and everything like that, and the counselors as well. You can tell that they're extremely receptive to the students. And once you come here, and I mean, like my first time when I came over here, and the type of feedback I got from one of the counselors, they really took me in and sat me down and talked about everything. They didn't have to do that. They could have just been like, you could take these courses and then you'll be fine, whatever, this is it. But they really got, not just guided, but like gave me a variety of options. And really, I could tell that even though I wasn't yet a student, I was deciding, they still had that care in them for the student, and that really reciprocated and solidified my decision to come here. And not only that, but things are really accessible here. Like when I needed my transcripts, or I need to go and ask some sort of question at admissions, it's always prompt and it's always response. Even professors with their email responses and everything, they get back quickly and everything. So all of that, it just accumulates and adds up, and the students can really tell that's happening, and it makes them feel, I don't want to feel better, but it makes them proud, like, to be here at Pasadena City College. And that's personally for me, that's why I'm here.
For me, I know a lot of it was when I was thinking about applying to different schools, I was actually visiting my sisters who live here. So I wanted to actually like come onto the campus and meet people and talk to people and things like that. So getting that was really easy here. I literally had an appointment later that day after I called to come in and meet at the International Student Office and talk to them about how I apply and all the different processes in respect to that. But then once I actually got here, the sense of community here, all of my professors and faculty members that I see on campus around always stop and say hi and talk to me. like I know Sheila from Pathways and Tallene, and like anytime I see them, I know that I can, ask them any questions that that I need answering, and it doesn't have to be like in a formal situation necessarily.
One of our counselors, James Aragon, has a question.
Thank you. I have a couple of questions, and I don't even care if they're brief because this is about your time. So first off, thank you for being here. So my question is to any and all of you who want to answer is if you could please choose one best practice that you've experienced in the classroom that has led to your success. And I can give you an example of things that I've done in my classroom, but I'd rather hear from you. Is that pretty clear, the question? Do I have to give you an example? No, you're very smart.
It's clear. It's clear.
I'll just leave my stuff out.
Do you want to? Okay. So one thing that you found in some of your classrooms that you think is a high impact practice or has the most impact on your ability to succeed and complete. You can think about it. We've covered a couple of themes already, but
I think specifically, sorry, I think specifically like coming from like math courses and even like economic courses or anything like that. But I know sometimes we go like through this process of like we're just explaining, but there's always like an underlying reason for where these concepts come from. There's theories that everything comes from. And I think if a professor can articulate where it's coming from and like where this impact is and really where is this applied, I think it exponentially increases the students' interest, because then they're not going for, like for myself, I'm not going through I always want to know the why behind something. I don't want to be given some sort of, here, just do this and you'll get to this and you'll get an A on the exam. I have to know the why. If I don't know the why, like I don't feel comfortable learning the material. So I think that's probably one of the best practices that some of my professors have really utilized, and they've always gone out of their way to really accept the concept. And even if they couldn't answer it in that moment, they went back, they researched it, which surprised me. Then they came back with an answer because they understood the material well enough to articulate that to me and explain it to me. So that would be my example for that.
I could also say that, I totally agree with what you're saying. But also just to have the professors be open to answering questions and actually kind of show that they want to help. I've had a couple instructors that I would go to ask questions when we had time in class or after class because I was confused about something, and their response was, well, that's what your homework is for. I don't get it. But then I've also had really great professors that again would go and research questions that they didn't have an immediate answer to, and would come back and answer later. But I'm the same. Like I need to know the why of like why we're learning it, why this is important, and why it is the way it is. So having an instructor or professor that understands that and is really knowledgeable in that field is really beneficial.
Go ahead, Bryan.
I'd like to add something. So two of the best experience that I have, two of the best practices that I have experienced on the classroom is, the first is working on groups, working on teams. It might seem at first really uncomfortable, like working with people that you don't know, working with people that you don't know. But it really, the more that you work with people, it creates a sense of community. And after that, they're not just simple students. Oh, you were in my class. Oh, I remember you were in my class. No, you actually get to know those people. You actually get to work with them and ask questions. And if you don't understand something, because it happens, sometimes you don't understand something from a professor, but you feel more comfortable to ask to a classmate. So I have worked in a couple of classes, and both professors, they have really been inclusive on that kind of practices, working on teams. And at the end of the term of the class, of the course, we get to be friends. It's not just, okay, they were students, you were in my class. And we see each other, we still remember our names. And the second practice is, as my mates just mentioned, it's really explaining to the student a term or something that we might not have quite get or quite understand, because that's the meaning of going to college, right? Like to learn something, to be more knowledgeable, and not just, okay, go to the class, write or read a book and something. So it's the meaning of going to college is to learn, not just to be seated over there and listen to the class. It's just and when we got a questions, it's really nice from a professor to really give a deep explanation of, I mean, if you show interest that you want to learn something or you have a question for something, I think we deserve and we have the right for that answer to be given, and so we can really understand the subject.
Did you want to add something?
Yeah, just to piggyback off what he said when it comes to the questions, I've noticed that a lot of professors, like a student will ask one question, and it's like very, very specific to one thing, and they want to know the why or something, but then the professor kind of steers on this whole, I don't know, this whole other direction, and then the student is kind of left like, you didn't really answer my question, because I know that's happened to me too, where I asked something where it's just like, maybe explain this one part, and then the professor will explain everything but that one part, and I'm still there like, okay, great, like, but back to my question. So kind of, I know you guys don't do this on purpose, and I know when I'm like tutoring, and I also know, when I'm tutoring that a student will ask something, and then I'll realize like, oh, I'm not even explaining what they asked, I'm explaining something different, so I feel your guys' pain. But just kind of listening to the student's question and trying to understand, and maybe when they ask it, kind of give them their question back to see if that's what they're actually asking, and then answer it.
Okay. Thank you. I think
Yes.
Jamal?
So computer science professor Jamal Ashraf has a question.
Hi. First of all, thank you very much for coming and doing this. That's very good. I do teach computer science, and that's one of the courses that it requires a lot of work. And up front, we talk to people about it. But my question is about homework. So if I give them a lot of homework, then they end up looking it up on the internet, not doing it themselves. If I want to grade a lot of homework, it's going to take me a lot of time. If I don't give them a homework, then they're not getting ready for it. So what do you guys think about the homework, and my course is a 4-unit course, so what do you guys think about homework? Should we just cancel the whole homework?
Yes. One of my math professors used part of the class time to actually work on homework, and that was a dedicated thing every class. There was after the lesson there was homework time, and so it was really easy to go and ask questions that you had at that moment, instead of being at home trying to figure it out, and then the next day or 2 days later going back and then not really remembering where you were struggling or exactly what the question was.
Okay, so as professors, I know that as the course goes on, you get a sense of like how your class is and where your class is. So I would say to kind of take a step back and evaluate your class, and then kind of, how would I say, kind of decide whether or not they need the homework. Because you know your students, you know your class, you know where you guys are falling behind, where you guys are going too fast, you know the rate of your class, and you start to get a sense of who your students are and how your students are. So kind of just, like I said, take a step back, reevaluate your class, and then decide whether you believe that your class needs more homework or needs extra help or not.
Just like to add some. At this moment, I'm taking the math class, and that means that I'm getting like a lot of homework.
Yeah.
So it's a lot. It means a lot. I would love to mention her name, say her name, but it wouldn't be appropriate. But the professor, it's a she, so she gives. Find out who she is. So she gives us a lot of homework. But the thing about her is that she prepares for the homework. So she said, I'm not going to give you homework that you're not going to be able to solve. So she doesn't give us the answer. No, she explains the content, what she's teaching us, so we can be prepared and be able to solve the homework. It is a lot of homework, but okay, if we encounter any question or something, okay, we try to solve it by ourselves. At the end, when we have to turn the homework, she has this kind of a thing that she takes 10 questions. So usually homework is a lot of like 50 or more exercises, but she takes 10. So those 10, she explains it, and she go over them on the board. So in a lot of those are the more common questions that we have for the exercises. So she explained them, and that's the way I think if we get if we get well prepared for the homework, I think we are able to do it. And I'm okay with the homework. It's a practice that it prepares you for the test. And at the final of my test, I got an A because I had learned all the content, so I didn't even struggle, and I finished really fast because the homework, it was part of my teaching and my learning, my own learning, and I didn't have to like go and review all the stuff that I had learned over the course. And we know the math pass is only 6 weeks, 6 and 6, no, 8 and 8. So at the end of 8 weeks, we have learned like one whole book that we might have learned on the whole quarter. So I think, yeah, so just to make it clear, so if we prepare students for our homework, they're not going to struggle doing the homework.
Okay, Matt, do you have anything
No,
else
it's
to add?
fine,
Okay,
if we're running
okay.
low on time,
Okay, we have Matt Hennis, who's a mathematics teacher.
Hi. My question's based on something that you said, Brian, but it's for anybody who wants to answer. You said that you've had professors that were inclusive and not judgmental. Can you give us one or two specific behaviors that teachers can do to foster that feeling of inclusiveness?
Okay. All right. So for that one, okay, international students or undocumented students or students from different backgrounds that are not born over here, so we kind of tend to be different in terms of language, the way we act, and how we feel on the classroom, because it's not the same. We weren't raised over here. So, but one example that I can give you is, on my case, it can be the accent. Let's say the accent, the way I speak. Sometimes there's some people that they get kind of anxious when they're listening, not to me, but when they listen to other people, and they kind of tend to, okay, forget it, just okay. So they kind of pay attention to other students that they feel more comfortable with, and tend to leave that student that might need help and it's showing interest, that wants to learn, wants to overcome that barrier. And okay, if we leave that student to their, okay, just do it by yourself, you go figure it out. So that's one of the things that we feel like, okay, I don't belong over there. Why going to school if I'm gonna be treated like that? So, but here perhaps I haven't given enough credit to faculty and staff, but from my own personal experience, I haven't had that experience of meeting someone or being with someone that act that way. But I have that experience on different places, and believe me, it feels frustrating, and you feel like, okay, why? So these people are educated people. They have gone to college. They have been on the same way that we have been before. Maybe not the same barriers that we have experienced. Okay, but they have gone through the same level of experience. So if they're an educated student, I think that's the reason why we go to school, to be more educated, more knowledgeable, and to be more accepting and caring about other people. Because if we are a diverse community, so I think we have to accept like every single member of the community that we have in.
I think, I mean, talking to inclusiveness in the classroom as well, I think just, like I said, I don't think you necessarily need to like throw your lives into your students, but if you can get to know their names and kind of just know a few facts about them, and then like, let's say for example, like during lecture or something, something clicks in your head and it's like, oh, I remember Josh or whatever, he really enjoys this portion of whatever, and then you find a way to incorporate that and then include him in that part of the lecture. It really just magnifies in terms of like their interest. Not only do they feel better that you know them, like you're calling on them and you're like, you know their personality, but it makes them that much more interested. Or I know personally for me, when they do it, it's more intriguing to me. Then it allows me an opportunity to engage in a conversation with the professor that goes somewhere that other students could potentially benefit from as well. And then if you do that, it's not necessarily every lecture you need to do that, but when you throw it in there every now and then the students really realize, oh, okay, like, Professor so-and-so, like he really understands like this, and he's incorporating all of this, and we talk amongst ourselves, so that's always happening. Like, and these are things that we mention to students or our fellow classmates when we're taking professors, that type of stuff happens in the classroom, and it makes us more interested in taking the class with that professor and fight for that one spot during registration for that professor.
Thank you.
Okay, our counselor Ingrid Arana has a question.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being here and allowing us to learn so much from you. My question is in instances where your academic progress or success is either questionable or you're unsure, what actions by your instructors or the campus community have helped you complete successfully? And if you haven't experienced that, what would you suggest?
Could you repeat the question again?
Yeah, sorry.
I wrote it down so I would like be able to read it because it's complex. So in times where your academic progress in a class has been questionable, like you're unsure, maybe your faculty member is concerned about your grade, what actions from your instructors or the college community, so maybe a tutor or a coach or a counselor, like what actions have we as a college done to ensure that you have successfully completed your course and have felt supported as well?
Okay, I'll go first. So one of the things that I have experienced with my professors is like if someone doesn't show up more than 2 or 3 days, they tend to contact them either by email or by phone. And that's really like, it hasn't happened to me, but it has happened to some of my classmates. And it really shows that, okay, the professor is interested in that you learn and that you show up to the class. And it motivates you to, okay, so someone cares about me. Someone cares about like me going to the class. And because I have had a few students, I had a classmate that he stopped going for a week to the class. It was the math class right now. And our professor, she was asking, because she had already tried to contact him by either email or by phone, and he wasn't replying. So then she went to all of us and she asked, does anybody has the number of this student? Can you contact him and telling him that I want him to keep coming. He's doing well, he shouldn't stop. So it shows interest that you want us to be on the class, that you want us to learn something from your knowledge. Also, going back to what I said before, the feedback that you show us, it also gives us that answer, which is implied that you care about us by giving the feedback, okay? So if we get a paper and it has only 100%, 80%, and that's it. It doesn't show our mistakes. So it kind of tells us, which is implied, okay, our professor doesn't care about my writing. It doesn't care about what I've been working on. I didn't only had 2 hours of sleep writing this essay and not getting any feedback. So I wouldn't be happy getting a 90%, 100%, and being like, I don't think it's perfect, and without getting any feedback. So I think those things, they're really helpful and show that you are caring about the student and the learning.
From my personal experience, I'm extremely self-motivated, so I'm able to make myself excel at my courses. But one of the things, I mean, I'm not a machine or anything like that, so every now and then I have my moments of doubt. And I think one of the things I've noticed, especially here at PCC, is most of my professors and a lot of the faculty that I work with at the MSc and everything, there's an opportunity there to sometimes just talk, and it's not about school or anything like that. There's like, you might not feel comfortable talking to your friends about it, or your friend's not available at that moment, but when you're at school most of your day, when you're taking 16 units, 17 units, like these are the people we see every day. Like I see Paula every single day, I see my classmates every single day, I see people at the MSc every single day, and there's an opportunity if I just need to maybe vent a little or talk about something, kind of get their idea or something, they're always readily available. Or any of my professors, I find out what their office hours are, and even if I'm not there, if I'm not even taking their class anymore and I just go to their office hours, they're willing to extend like 20 minutes, 30 minutes, sit down and have a talk with me about whatever it may be in terms of my academic goals or whatever, or how I'm progressing. And then the only reason I say that is because tutoring, I see that from the students. So when the students are coming in and they're struggling with their math courses, the first thing they don't say to me is like, oh, I don't understand. It's like, oh my God, I'm gonna fail my math course. Like, what am I supposed to do? So it's like you almost kind of inadvertently take on like this counseling role in a sense, and you become kind of like something for them to lean on. So, and I'm not saying you have to do that for every single student. That would be ridiculous. There's a lot of students, but like if there are students, some students usually will utilize that, and you can tell which ones there are. But if that's available to them, then it's a fantastic thing to have. So.
Thank you. I think we have a couple more questions.
Okay, speech instructor Bevel Constantine.
Yes, thank you for being here again. I know you talked about diversity in terms of the students that you see on campus. One of the major problems we're having at many community colleges, not just at PCC, is the hiring of diverse faculty in the classroom as well as full-time staff. Can you talk about the diversity that you've experienced in the classroom? Do you think it's sufficient? Is there a lack of diverse faculty? And how that's going to impact your educational goals?
Sorry if I go first. Yeah. So one of the classes that I took here at Pasadena City College was probably, is it okay if I mention the class? I don't have to say, Professor.
You can mention the subject area.
So it's within English, and so the it's unfortunate. It's within English, but one thing I noticed is we had a really diverse group of students in that classroom. And I don't know if it's necessary because they were interested in the topic or anything, but I know there was represented Asian American, African American, Armenian such as myself. I guess you could say American born here, white American, etc. And having, for the most part, most of my classes have been diverse to that extent. And it's just, again, it's an opportunity, like the more diversity, the better, because it allows us for different perspectives from different people that come from different backgrounds. I've gone through different struggles, like Bryan has said, and it gives people that necessarily haven't gone through those struggles an opportunity. So I can't really speak in terms of like the professors in terms of hiring them, because I've only taken the professors that I needed for my academic courses, so I'm not as acutely as aware to that. But I know within the student body, at least in the majority of my classes, there's been a large representation from every demographic. So whether it's 2 or 3 students here or there, there's a nice mix of students. So I can only speak from that point.
I'd like to add a little bit on that one. I feel really comfortable, as I mentioned before, here coming at PCC, because I had the opportunity to visit some university in San Francisco, as for instance, Stanford and UC Berkeley. And if you go and see, the lack of diversity is huge. So you only see one, I don't like saying race, but you only see one group of people. And if you see minorities, it's like tiny, really small. But here at PCC, I don't feel like a minority, even though either as an undocumented student or as a Latino student, I don't feel as a minority, because we see different groups of people, and it's kind of, okay, it balanced like every single minority we can say, and I feel really comfortable. That's on terms of students. In terms of faculty and staff, we can see very diverse. We see like a couple of people from different groups, racial groups. So I don't tend to see, okay, perhaps, okay, because they're from that group of people, they're going to see us this way. I don't really see it. And I'm going to deviate a little bit from the topic. The reason of hatred is the lack of diversity. But here, since we have like a lot of diversity, that's the way we can kill or get rid of the hatred that sometimes it grows on communities, on school, because we learn to see and we learn to live with different minorities, and that kind of give us, okay, we are one whole community. It's not just minority and minority. We are one whole, we are PCC, we're not, okay, Latinos, undocumented. Okay, so I feel that sense of belonging here, and I don't feel, as I mentioned before, just to make it clear, I don't feel as a minority.
For myself, I come from predominantly a background of where it was just Latinos and African Americans. So coming here to PCC and now being in that kind of like community to me was a culture shock. It was kind of like, whoa, like there's more people here, like there's a lot of different people rather than just what I grew up with. And being in the classroom and with my professors, I don't necessarily see them as, oh, I'm Mexican or I'm Latina and they're something else. To me, they're a person, and I just want to see them as my professors rather than like just focus on their background. But in certain classes, especially like classes with humanities where I had to take my GEDs, it's really beneficial to see that diversity within like the students and also the professor that's teaching it. And overall, even if I don't really focus on that, kind of like having that in back of my mind that there's different people from different cultures and backgrounds here, it does give me a sense of ease and a sense of belonging.
Okay, so I think that's a wonderful note to leave on. We're running out of time, and we can probably stay here for another couple of hours. You guys have been fabulous. You want to give our students a round of applause?